Welcome to the Wild About Turkey Hunting podcast, a show for those who love the thrill of that first morning gobble, who love sharing the outdoors with a close friend, and for those who never want to stop learning about this awesome ritual we call spring turkey hunting. I'm Josh Davis, host and creator of the YouTube channel Davis Family Hunts. I'm wild about turkey hunting, and I bet you are too. Thanks for joining. Let's get started. When was your first turkey hunting experience? I'll likely never forget my first outing. It was 1993. I'd just come home from 6th grade camp with my school, and my dad let me skip the last 2 days of the school week to go with him and a buddy to West Virginia to turkey hunt for 3 days. First, I was thrilled that my mom even let me get away with missing school, but second, I had tagged along with my dad on a few bow hunts, and my curiosity of hunting, woodsmanship, and animal behavior was really building. To make a long story short, we never got a gobbler on that trip, but it wasn't for a lack of calling one up. I remembered seeing a tom materialize from a steep ridge slope, only to notice that my dad didn't see him, or so I thought. When the tom showed up and it appeared that Dad didn't see the bird, I tapped him on the arm and pointed toward the gobbler about 60 yards away. That was the first and last gobbler we saw on the trip. I had no idea that my dad had already seen the tom coming in and was much more aware than me of the importance of remaining still when a turkey is in sight. We both learned a lot that weekend on that trip. There were some things I vividly remember: sleeping on the bench seat of Dad's old Ford truck, picking mushrooms in the afternoon, hearing a gobbler sound off from the roost to Dad's owl hooter, and him letting me try to blow it myself, even though I didn't know yet the importance of the "who cooks for you" cadence. I shelled and ate peanuts by the fire, and I walked for what seemed like hundreds of miles to my short legs, and I nearly sweat to death wearing the only camo that I owned, an insulated coverall suit in the old Army woodland camo pattern. Though the weekend was full of exhaustion and frustration, it only piqued my interest in spring turkey hunting. I had barely scratched the surface of turkey hunting, and already I was starting to love this new-to-me sport. Thankfully, for Dad too, I was a pretty quick learner about God's great outdoors, and I wanted to try it again as soon as I got the chance. I took several on and off adventures with Dad and got to watch him call in and shoot a few spring gobblers. I even began to finally carry a gun myself, a single-shot 20 gauge, a few years later. 3 springs later, after that first trip to West Virginia, I was able to take my first turkey, a lone jake that came into Dad's calling, across an open hayfield during the opening morning of our Ohio season. Now that I'm a father too, it's been a real joy for me to get to share similar experiences with each of my own children. And I'm proud to say that each of my 4 kids, my 2 boys and my 2 girls, have all shared the woods with me, and they have all successfully filled multiple tags over the years. While I certainly don't claim to be an expert on hunting with kids, I like to think that I've gained a lot of wisdom and learned a lot of do's and don'ts. So let me share with you some advice for passing along the tradition of spring turkey hunting. There's a giveaway going on right now, and you're invited to join for free. Just head over to davisfamilyhunts.com and sign up for our newsletter. Once you do that, you'll get a link to enter the giveaway. This is your shot at winning a cool prize package, which includes a really nice personalized box call, perfect for bringing in that next longbeard this spring. Don't wait too long because this chance won't last forever, so make sure you enter today. Again, just go to davisfamilyhunts.com, sign up for our newsletter, use the link to enter the giveaway, and get ready for your chance to win a prize package that can help you succeed in the turkey woods. Now, let's get back to the show. All right, so I have a very special guest with me today. In fact, she is the very first guest to the Wild About Turkey Hunting podcast. She is 10 years old, and she has already killed 4 turkeys. This is my youngest daughter, Morgan. Say hello, Morgan.
Hi.
Today, she is going to help me share with you some of the ways to capitalize on taking a child turkey hunting. So, Morgan, why don't you go ahead and introduce point number 1?
Find a kid who wants to go.
This may seem obvious, but if you're going to take a kid hunting, you need to find a child who wants to go. And this very well may be your own kid. But if your son or your daughter has an interest in going along with you, that's great. You'll never regret getting to spend some extra one-on-one time with your kid. And you might be surprised your kid doesn't have to live and breathe hunting in order for them to be interested in going. I never really assumed that my daughters would be interested in going turkey hunting with me, but I was surprised that when I asked each of them for the first time, they said yes. They had never really sat down and watched a bunch of hunting videos with me, but they had played around with a few of my turkey calls from time to time. And though they had never really asked if they could go, all it took was for me to invite them to come along. They were willing to try something new, and that is always a good thing. If I could give one big word of caution here, one piece of advice that you'll remember, it's this: do not start your child off on a gun too early. I see this mistake in social media groups all the time. Some eager dad will post a picture of the new gun he bought for his 4-year-old son, and he wants to have him ready to drop that big long beard the next weekend. While every parent is eager to get their kid out there and bagging birds, don't fall into the trap of starting your kid off as early as possible. If I could suggest something to you about the age of a child harvesting a turkey, I would say wait until they're at least 8 years old. Why? Because there's no rush to build up their trophy collection of beards and spurs so early. I feel a child needs to grasp a general understanding of firearm safety, the appreciation of why we hunt, and the strategy of how we are choosing to harvest this bird. Good common sense and positive individual decision making seems to be evident around 8 years old for most children. Yes, they may be a big boned kid and they may be physically capable of shooting a turkey earlier than that, but if you're dying for them to get out, then let them tag along by all means. Take them as often as you can, but let them watch and learn. Let their chance to shoot become a rite of passage because you invested time and you shared with them in the spring woods. Again, don't get so blinded by giving them success that you start them off too early. All right, so back to finding a kid who wants to go. If you have a child of your own who is an appropriate age, then by all means start there. But if you don't have any kids or your child is all grown up and out of the house, look no further than your extended family tree. Do you have a nephew that would want to go or a granddaughter? If nobody comes to mind in your family group, what about someone's kid in your social circles? It might be a child from church or a neighbor's son or the son of one of your coworkers. Even if they're not a hunting family per se, you might be surprised to find how excited they are about your invitation. Of course, you may even create some extra hunting memories by inviting their parent to come along with you too. Watching a family unit learn together can take the idea of hunter recruitment to a whole new level as you do your part to invest in bringing more people into the realm of ethical hunting. The bottom line is find a kid who is willing to go turkey hunting with you. Once you've got a youngster committed to going hunting, it's extremely vital to do what, Morgan?
Dress them right.
That's right. Dressing them right doesn't mean that you need to be covered from head to toe with brand new high-end camo. In fact, unless they already hunt deer, squirrels, and other game, it may not be a smart financial investment to drop several $100s on new hunting attire. But there are some ways to make sure that they are outfitted right and that you can accommodate a child's needs to be comfortable, well hidden, and protected from the elements. First off, make sure that the clothes fit the kid. Yeah, you can throw your big old extra large jacket over them, but that's not going to be any fun. I mean, do you really want to walk around the woods with the sleeves of an oversized jacket cuffed up 8 or 9 inches from the ends of your hands? If you don't want to hunt like that yourself, then surely they don't want to either. So choose kid-sized clothing. This takes a little advanced preparation, but it's not too hard to do. Can you borrow some clothes from a friend who has a child who hunts? Or do you still have some clothes in the closet from your younger, slimmer days? Of course, given the amount of time you take to prepare, a child can be outfitted with camo clothing found at the thrift store or on eBay. If you're part of a hunting forum or a Facebook group, you might even try asking if anyone has clothes that they want to get off their hands. You might be surprised at what you can collect for extremely cheap or even free. However you acquire it, try to get footwear, gloves, and clothes that are correctly fitting. Secondly, when it comes to clothing kids, always dress them in layers. Anticipate that they're going to be colder than you in the morning. I've always dressed my kids as if it were 20 degrees colder than it might actually be at first light. Why? Because kids get cold easier. They have a smaller body mass. They usually aren't outside as often as we are. And by the way, those $1 little hand warmers are worth their weight in gold for chilly mornings too. They're easy to pack and they do the job of keeping small hands and feet warm. So get some and have some ready. But dress kids in layers, because sometimes they'll get really hot too. Choose layers that can still be hunted in. Like I mentioned when I began this episode, my first turkey hunting experience was me wearing an insulated camo coverall suit. It was perfect for the start of the morning when it was likely to be cool and damp, or maybe even a little bit frosty. But by mid-morning, when the springtime sun had really warmed things up, I was dying of heat because it was the only camo that I owned at the time. I wore a white t-shirt and black gym shorts on underneath that coverall for those 3 days. And there was no way that I could strip down into cooler attire without being seen by a gobbler from 200 yards away. At the least, we should have had a pair of brown pants and a long-sleeve camo t-shirt for me to wear when things got hot. We were just figuring it out as we went, but we learned. When you dress a kid in layers, be sure that each layer is hunt ready. Hopefully, you found a kid that wants to go. You've prepared to dress them right. Now what?
Pick the right equipment.
I actually recorded a very detailed video about turkey hunting equipment for youth on our Davis Family Hunts YouTube channel, and I'll leave a link in the show notes so that you can go watch it. But let me highlight some of the key points from that video with you here. First, make sure that you use a shotgun that is an appropriate size of the child. Youth stocks are readily available these days, and there's no reason why a 20 gauge or smaller shouldn't be used. Again, if you don't own a firearm that matches that description, see what you can do to borrow one from a hunting buddy. With all the advances in shot shell technology, it's no secret that even a 410 is a strong contender for turkey hunting. TSS loads have really changed the game to allow lighter loads to be just as lethal. And whatever firearm the kiddo is using, just be sure it fits them right and that they have a general comfort holding and aiming and shooting it. Use 2 3/4 low brass birdshot for target practice. Make that the only recoil that they feel when practicing. On the day of the hunt, slip the turkey load into the gun instead, and I guarantee they won't even remember the difference. They'll be so focused on watching the turkey come in, and they'll be so amped up on adrenaline that they won't even notice the change in recoil. It also goes without saying that hearing protection is a must, even during the turkey hunt, if possible. While target shooting, you definitely want to have earplugs, earmuffs, or both. In general, it seems that most new shooters are far more anxious about the boom of the gun than they really are the kick. Keeping the percussion of the shot to a minimum will build a level of comfort as you keep practicing. And if possible, consider shooting protection muffs with shot-canceling microphones built into them for the actual hunt too. Probably the most popular brand of this type of hearing muff is made by Walkers, and this has been very helpful for me. Not only can my kids wear them to protect their hearing, but it also amplifies the whisper commands that I might give them as the hunt is unfolding. And finally, when it comes to shooting, give them every advantage you can to help make a comfortable, steady, and accurate shot. You may experiment with different shooting aids such as a bipod or a tripod, a red dot scope, or an extra thick recoil pad. The idea is to make the shot experience as safe and rewarding as possible. And I recommend shooting at least twice before the day of the actual hunt. Okay, Morgan, another great thing to do before the actual hunt takes place is to...
Take a trial run in the woods.
That's right. Don't let the first day of the hunt be the first time your kid has been in the spring turkey woods. Consider taking them with you on a scouting trip a week in advance. Let them realize what time they need to be up and out of bed. Allow them to hear gobblers on the roost. Teach them how they could be quiet with their footsteps through the woods by not shuffling their feet or intentionally stepping on sticks. Take into account their small legs. Can they handle crossing a creek, scaling steep hills, or passing through a thick section of woods? How far realistically can they walk in the course of a morning, or even just to the starting spot at first light? A trial run will help you to decide, are they a child who can move through the woods regularly with quietness, or are they better suited for sitting and waiting in a well-placed blind? If you decide to go the route of using a blind, here's a tip for you as well. Set it out in advance and use a few sticks jabbed into the ground to mark off distances that help you range for a comfortable shot. A trial run through the woods helps you know the limits of the young person you are taking into the field with you. All right, Morgan. And finally, as the day of their hunt arrives, just remember that
It's their hunt.
that's right, it's their hunt. One of the toughest things for we die-hard turkey hunters is to leave the woods early. But for kids, They haven't built up the kind of interest and stamina you and I might have for pressing on when there isn't much gobbling action. Remember that at the end of the day, the goal is not killing a turkey. The end goal is to turn that young guy or girl into a turkey hunter. Hunting doesn't always mean killing. So don't let pride stand in the way of letting them enjoy the woods the way that they want to enjoy them too. Do what you can to keep them engaged. Don't be afraid to let them call a little bit. Even if their calling skill isn't that great, double up with some of your own calling to keep the turkey sounds you both are making seem more natural. They get to participate, but you're still helping to keep the noted realism in the calling sequence a gobbler within earshot might hear. Let them make some of the decisions during the hunt. Give them two plausible options and let them choose. Say, we can set up on this ridge for another 15 minutes to see if that gobbler will come in, or we can go over to that field where turkeys also like to hang out and call for a while. What would you like to do? Just like those old choose your own adventure books where you get to choose which page you would turn to next, give them the option to set the course for the next action of the morning. If they happen to make a decision that results in a successful encounter, they'll likely be eager to keep turkey hunting. Another thing about making it their hunt. If they're tired of hunting, then find something else to do. If they want to go home, just do it. Once I made an effort to spend 40 minutes preparing my oldest daughter, who was 10 years old at the time, for an afternoon hunt, only to get out to the blind and experience her wanting to go home early, not nearly 30 minutes into the hunt. And so we did. And I hated to do it, but I packed things up and headed for home. But she wanted to go with me again in less than a week, and the next time she stayed out for hours. The point is, don't push a child further than they want to participate just because you are eager for their success. If they want to walk around and explore the woods, let them. Part of turkey hunting is the appreciation of the creation that surrounds us in the woods. Let kids be kids. The woods could be a fun place to be. Explore a creek. Take a walk without worrying how quiet your footsteps may be. Pick a handful of May-apples. Just keep them interested in being in the woods, as long as they're interested in being in the woods. But do it on their own terms. And finally, let me say this. Don't be an arrogant turkey hunter when it comes to what type of bird a child shoots. If it's a legal bird, let them take it. I know I've been guilty of this before. If a group of jakes comes in while you're working a longbeard just out of sight, let the youngster shoot the jake if he wants to. Again, hoping this will just be the first harvest of many more to come. There will be a time to let them grow into the sport and to be more selective of their target if they choose. Remember to think like a kid. If they shoot a scrawny short beard, make a big deal about it. Treat it like the trophy that it is. Any turkey taken should be praised and admired. You'll also display a true appreciation for the hunt, and once the bird is cut up into golden fried turkey nuggets, that kiddo won't care how long its spurs were or how thick its beard was. What you and I are passing along is the heritage of turkey hunting. Take a kid with you this spring and let them share in the moments that you and I already love. Consider it a privilege to take a youngster to the woods with you. It's also a good responsibility to be a part of the hunting community's initiative to recruit and make new hunters. That's how this great theme of hunting and conservation will continue on. The youth that we encourage now will be the ones who cheerlead hunting's deep tradition in the future. In the Bible, we see that learning comes through imitation, and Morgan's going to share with us from Philippians 4:9.
Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you.
In this verse, the Apostle Paul encourages the believers in the church at Philippi to imitate his actions and teachings. And this highlights mentorship as a process of learning through observation and practice. And I believe that the same is true for all of us, even apart from our faith-based journey. We learn best when we have someone show us how to do something. When you take a child to the field, you are giving them the greatest opportunity to become a successful turkey hunter by imitating you. So be encouraged when they ask questions. Don't get frustrated when they make mistakes, and remember that we too, at one time, were in their boots as well. For me, my greatest joy is watching my children grow in the Lord, and second to that, I've loved seeing how their understanding of hunting and woodsmanship has increased over the years. A time spent with a child is never wasted, and I hope you enjoy your time with a young person this spring. If you benefited from these tips today, I hope that you'll rate or like this podcast on whichever platform you're using. It means a lot to know that you took the time to tune in and that you found something helpful from this podcast. And with youth seasons coming in first in most states, be sure to share the Wild About Turkey Hunting podcast with a friend, especially if they plan to take a youngster hunting. Want to check out our YouTube channel, Davis Family Hunts? We've got all sorts of stuff there, from the sounds that turkeys make to our fun turkey hunting adventures with the kids. And we'd really appreciate if you would stop and subscribe so you can catch more of the turkey hunting videos that we put out. Plus, it'd be awesome if you followed us on Facebook and Instagram. Just look up Davis Family Hunts on either app to stay in the loop and to see what we're up to. We'd love to chat with you there too. And don't forget that you can visit our website, davisfamilyhunts.com, where I'll drop links in the description for you. And whether you're into turkey hunting or just want to strengthen your bond with Jesus Christ, the more you know and the more you put into practice, the better you'll get. The more skilled you become and the more fun it becomes.
I hope you have a great time enjoying the outdoors, whether it's with turkeys or just spending time with God. The pursuit is wild. Never stop learning.